so bad. So it's lovely to be here. I understand this is a bit of a different crowd. I've been speaking mainly in Germany to startups. So since we're a small group, I'd love to do a little go around and just tell me your name, your title, and one line about what it is that you do. And then we'll see by the end of the night how those little one-line pitches change. So, anyone want to start? You were here first, so you want to go first?
Ladies first.
Ladies first, okay. Astrid?
Yeah, so I'm Astrid. I'm a business coach, and I'm supporting leaders and their employees in communication and personality development.
Wonderful.
I'm Wolfgang. I am a trainer for service quality since 2003.
Great.
My name is Frauke. I work as a consultant and business coach, and I love to work with people in groups and individuals.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Chantal. I'm a lawyer and certain focus on corporate law and labor law. Right.
My name is Claude. I'm a journalist and I do international business communication. I'm a startup with business videos, storytelling, and coaching.
Dom?
I'm Dominic Meischel. I am an accountant in Königstein, and I would like to launch my own business in healthcare and technologies.
Hello?
I'm Gero, and I'm a trainer for rhetoric, public speaking, and education.
A fellow, wonderful. I'm flattered always when a colleague comes, so maybe you'll have some good insights to add to the group too. Hi.
Hi, my name is Simone, and I worked for many years in marketing, consumer good companies, and change management, and business development, and as a project manager and consultant.
And now, the same?
No, it will change.
Okay.
But starting as of October, as a trainer.
As a trainer in these. Hi, come on in. We just start going
No,
around.
for sales. Sorry.
It's okay, no worries.
For sales.
For sales, great, great.
I'm Jörg. I run a small business investor relations. On the one hand, as interim manager, on the other hand, as a workbench for small companies.
I'm Nicole. I am a consultant for salary and benefits.
Great.
Hey, I'm Chris, translator and interpreter.
And translator and interpreter, German, English?
German, English, Spanish, yeah.
Very good. Wow.
Based in the world.
Very.
Hi. My name is Nico. I'm owner and co-founder of an online marketing company. And obviously we do online marketing, and we do program our online games as well, and marketing.
Hi.
My name is Renata. I'm working as a consultant in my own company, particularly for international companies, and to manage team working and large group sessions.
Nice.
My name is Peter. I'm a valuer and researcher for logistics production warehouses.
Logistics production warehouses. Okay, thank you. Hi.
I'm the last one, Heidi. Welcome to all. I'm working with young adults. I'm a coach regarding profession and orientation in life.
Like career direction?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm Donna. I'm a corporate storyteller, which basically means that for the past 15 years I've been roaming the globe helping people not be boring. Oftentimes, when we're telling our own story or our company's story, who struggles with that? We have a lot of coaches in the room. Isn't it much easier to coach other people to say good things about themselves than ourselves? I just launched my new website, and I wish I had a clone of myself to tell me, the things to write. Because probably the most challenging thing we do is storytell about our own business and sales. But as we're all in here, I think, business owners, right? We're all consultants. So we have no choice. And storytelling is a great way to bring it to life and to really communicate with our potential customers, potential partners, potential investors. There's a couple of more startups in here. So we're going to talk about various messages tonight and how we can incorporate storytelling, and then I would love to have as many of you at the end come up and do like a 1-minute elevator pitch. We'll talk about how it works at the end. So, and I'll give you some coaching on how to make it even more powerful. Okay? So storytelling. This is our oldest daughter, Lily, when she was 2. She's now 5. But there's something that hasn't changed. She is always surrounded by books. She's just learning to read now, but it doesn't matter. She's enthralled by books and by stories. My mom was just visiting us, and she went back today, and she kept telling them stories about when I was young and when she was young, and our other daughter, Emma, asking for the same story again and again and again. So from the time we're born and we're young, our brains are hardwired for stories. We are prone to stories. People did not sit around the campfires giving PowerPoint presentations, right? I'm sure that each of you has a family heritage with stories that have been passed down in the years, and we remember these. It's almost as if we lived things that our grandparents told us again and again, even without being there. So people live stories. Storytelling is actually survival. So it's the stories that we tell over the years. The first cave paintings that were discovered in France about 50,000 years ago were the first time that people actually were able to visualize their message before they even had language. And they told stories through visuals, and then it evolved into language. That's the last time our brains got a hardware update. The biggest part of our brain is the one that processes visuals. And we started to recognize people, we started to recognize objects, and then stories took on, context. No, what's so brilliant about stories is that they make us feel, they resonate with us. When someone tells you a story, oftentimes the response in your brain is, oh yeah, that reminds me of the time that, and we start to kind of find ourselves in their story. So we start to sync up, we start to feel the person, we start to feel comfortable with them and establish the trust. And also, by the way, different parts of our brains are accessed. I mean, I could just have a bunch of bullets up here and you'd be reading, right? But only one part of our brain, our language processing part, would be activated, and it would be kind of boring. Because if I were to tell you a story about my mother-in-law sits in the back of we have a little minivan, when my husband's driving, we're going, oh, you're going so fast! And, because you're speeding down the Autobahn here and cutting in and out of cars. And so when I start talking about that, all of a sudden your sensory motor cortex starts firing off, and you can remember yourself on a fast drive. Or if I talk about this beautiful little meal we had at Fiorentino around the corner where they had a delicious carpaccio and Aperol Spritz. You can start getting hungry, right? So our other parts of our sensory cortex start to wake up. And then all of us are involved, not just our thinking piece, our reading piece. And that's what we want. All day long we think in stories. Whether we're thinking of, oh, I have to go stop at the Aldi to get some milk, who's going to pick up the kids, oh, did I take out the steak so that we can have dinner for the freezer? We have these conversations with ourselves and with others. So it's a very natural way of thinking. And sometimes when we do business writing or business speaking, we get very, you can come on in, you don't need to stand there, it's okay. we get very proper and very corporate speak. So I used to come to Germany a lot. Intel was a big client. I was doing more corporate work. Today I work more with startups. And I would come and give workshops for engineers and for sales engineers, and everything was very serious and very this, and little by little, I would always tell them, Germans, I've seen you guys at Carnival. I know you can get very loose and excited and happy, so that's more what I want to see when you're telling your stories, some joy, some excitement. Also, stories start to connect us. They actually sync up our brains. there's evidence that when we're engaged in a good story, all of a sudden people are in there and the brainwaves start to synchronize. And that's when influence starts to happen. And as business owners, that's what we want. When we have to sell, when we have to persuade someone to invest, to partner with us, we want that kind of sync between us. So we have the power to influence people through showing that we understand where they're coming from. And the best way to do that is through stories. Now, if any of you remember Seinfeld, I don't know if you've ever had it here, but that's George Costanza, and he said, if you believe it, it's not a lie. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes a story is so powerful, and we tell stories, and I'll tell you guys some stories today. I'm going to share. Some are absolutely true, and some I've adopted over the years as my own story. And honestly, I don't even remember anymore what is mine and what things that I borrowed, because when something becomes so much a part of ourselves, our brains remember it as a true memory. So you have the power to take your story and to author it. Now, I'm not saying make up numbers, make up clients you've worked with. Don't do that. But I'm saying we can take our stories and become writers and grow our story, make it attractive and sexy and exciting. So today I want to give you guys some tips on how to do that, how to take it, and it's not just incorporating stories into it, and it's not just telling jokes, but there's a real structure to a story. If we think back to classics like Brecht and Shakespeare and even Greek tragedies, there's a very specific structure to a story. And that's what I want us to break down and to start adopting for our messages too. So what is this child playing with? Lego. Okay. If there were engineers in the room, they'd be saying, that's not Lego, it's Duplo. Who's that, you? Are you an engineer? Are you an engineer?
Back then I preferred Lego as well.
Okay. Well, it's the younger kids start. I didn't know this until I had kids, that they put everything in their mouths, so you don't want to be choking on the Lego pieces. But engineers are what we call Scheisse detectors. They look for everything that you're saying wrong, and they go, aha! I found it, you are a fraud. I see right through you. So who here has played with Legos as a child? Okay. Who here has, bless you, has kids that play or played with Legos? Or who here has ever stepped on a Lego in the middle of the night? Have you ever killed the Danish people for developing this? So, in an era of tablets and iPads and baby Einstein and all these, games that they're playing, how do you explain that Legos are still one of the most popular toys all around the world? Why? What do you think?
It's creative.
Creative, yes.
They can touch it.
You can touch it, yes. What else? Colorful. Colorful. Anything else?
Change management Lego.
They
do have
serious play.
Serious play.
So Legos actually are the creative expression where flexibility meets structure. Sounds a little bit like a contradiction, but think about it. You can build anything you want from Lego. They have Legolands, right? There's one in Holland, and really be very creative, but you have to stick to the structure. You can't start bending, breaking, maneuvering it. It's chuk, 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 chuk. And even a young child gets it and can start to build with it. And that's how our message is. That's the method I want to teach you. It's very structured, but then it'll help you be as creative as possible with your content. And you put in the colors, and you put in the special structures. So I'm going to give you a few tips. But first, and probably if you only remember one thing from this workshop, this is what I want you to remember. Writing from your audience's perspective. Now, Henry Ford actually said that was the one secret to success in business, is being able to see things through your perspective and the other sides. Now, not when you sell, but sometimes when people sell. Not us, of course. But what do they tend to do when they're trying to sell to a client? what do they start with?
We offer, we do.
Yes,
We are the best.
us, we, our product, our solution. This is great, we're terrific, we're great, we've done all these things.
Awesome. Thanks for you.
Yeah. What does that do to you when somebody tries to sell you in that way? Yes, pushes you away. So we want to be sure that we start from their side, from their need, from their what it is that they want. And the best way to do that is, of course, through a story. So I want to tell you a little bit of the best storytelling that I've heard in quite a while. A friend of mine wrote on Facebook that he was ready to fly home to San Francisco, and he was, waiting for a long flight, and everybody's up, putting their luggage away, and, and then the pilot gets on. Now, what does usually the pilot say when he wants everyone to sit down? Everybody sit down, please. We can't take off until you sit down. Da, 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 da. Does it work? Maybe in Germany, I think everybody's very no. So he said, the pilot came on, and I thought this was brilliant. He said, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't take off at our allotted time, then we're going to miss our takeoff time, and we'll be behind 7 other planes, which means we will be arriving in San Francisco an hour after 4 other flights have landed. So you'll be standing at customs behind a flight from Australia, a flight from India, and 2 flights from Europe. Now, if you sit down in the next few minutes, we'll be able to take off in time. You might want to consider that. What do you think happened? Yes, they all sat down. So to me, that was brilliant. Now, this is something, using it with your kids, too. It's very helpful, especially teenagers, I think. Because even with our 2-year-old and our 5-year-old, it's like you can tell them do something, or you can kind of give them the whole picture and let them think and let them come to the conclusion on their own. But it's the same thing with our customers. It's the same thing with whether we're writing a website, or whether we're writing an email, or whether we're speaking and giving a pitch, or on the phone. We want them to understand we get you. We know about your needs, and we care about your needs, and we're here to meet your needs. So, telling a good story, it's almost like a date. Who here is still single, dating? Anyone? Oh, okay, great. So some advice of dating as well as pitching. If on your first date, you talk about your entire dating history, where you'd like to be married, how many kids you want to have, there's a good chance you might not have a second date. So, also in our initial meetings with potential clients or investors or partners, I don't want to say too much. Now, when we have a quick pitch, which is what we're talking about here, how to do like an elevator pitch, a quick pitch, it's more like speed dating. Anyone ever done speed dating? Yeah. So I was living in New York in early 2000s, and I was single, and I said, oh, that's my husband back there now. This is way before I knew him. And I said, oh, speed dating, that sounds like a very efficient way to meet people. 10 tables, women sitting, men rotating. You have 5 minutes to talk to the person sitting across from you and decide whether you ever want to see them again. 5 minutes can feel like an eternity. I'm telling you, I don't know where half of these people came from. It looked like they picked up a rock and all these little creatures crawled out for the nap. But we don't want people sitting across from us to feel that way. We want them to be, ooh, I can't wait to continue this conversation. Whether they meet you at a networking event, whether they meet you standing in line for coffee, or whether they meet you in a potential meeting, in a pitch meeting. So, the first thing we want to do is we want to anticipate our audience's questions. And the good news is, people aren't very creative. They ask the same questions again and again and again and again. So we can actually know ahead of time and imagine ahead of time what they're going to ask us. So I want you to sit down and I want you to think of all the questions you've ever been asked by a potential client or a potential partner, whoever it is you're talking to. Think of a person actually that you want to be pitching. A business that you want to work with, a potential client that you think would be a great win. Maybe somebody that you already pitched to and it didn't go so well. Imagine them and think of all the questions they might ask you or that you have been asked, and all the questions you really don't want to be asked. and write them all down. Okay? And we're going to create answers for them. So the first thing you do is you list the questions, and then we group them together into about 3 or 4 groups. I'll tell you why 3 or 4 in just a minute. And then we answer them. And that will become our slides or our script. Now, why 3 or 4? If I were to have started this evening and say, hi everybody, my name is Donna, and tonight we're going to be talking about fresh fruit. Fresh fruit. We'll talk about bananas and apples and ananas and mango and bananas and cherries and raspberries and blueberries and pears. What do you remember from that list? Pears. Bananas, because I said them twice, right? But I don't think anybody, even myself, could say the whole list. But if I were to say, hi everybody, my name is Donna, and tonight we'll talk about fresh fruit. We'll start off with tree fruit. Apples, pears, peaches. Then we'll talk about forest fruit. Blueberries, raspberries, cherries, and finally we'll end with tropical fruit. Ananas, mango, and papaya. A little bit easier to remember now? Our brains are busy doing that every day, all day. Grouping. New piece of information comes in. Where do we file this? Tick. New piece. Tick. Uh-oh. Piece that I don't recognize. Houston, we have a problem. We will be shutting down in 5, 4, 3. And then what happens when somebody tries to teach us something new that we get confused about? What happens? We either fight or flight. We either argue, 999, that's not right, or we just tune out. So we want to help people. We want to think about their questions before, and we want to group them into chunks, into the folders, into the chapters, so they already know. Now, I've helped you, and I've already grouped probably the most, oh, sorry, this was the section for that. So this is the principle of the 3 or 4. This is called the principle of chunking. It's 2 plus 5, 5 plus 2 minus 2, 3 to 7. So 4 is a good place in the middle, 3 can work too. We don't want any more, people can't take in, the human adult brain can't take in any more than 4 chunks of information at a time, and we need to group it together. So you saw what we did with the fruit. We grouped it much easier to remember. So I've taken the liberty of grouping some of the most common presentations. I want to make that, see if I can make that a little bit bigger now. Yeah, okay. So with that, now it's cutting it off for me. Okay, so we'll go through these. Yes, these are probably the most relevant ones to this room anyway. So sales presentation is probably the biggest one we do, and this is true whether you're turning it into slides or whether you're just having a conversation. So these are the 4 big chunks: the problem, the situation, the need, which is where we show them that we understand them, the possible solution, what we have to offer them, the details of our solution or our product, and what are the next steps. So all the questions we chunk together into those places. Anyone do brand planning? Let's get that one. Nobody does. Project reviews. Same thing, only 3. What's the overview? What's the current status? And what do we need to take the next steps? Financial reporting. Now what's cool is a technical presentation. When I have engineers, I love telling them, this is almost exactly like the sales. You guys are salespeople. They don't like that very much, but then they learn they actually are, because selling an idea is survival in the company. You need to be able, and usually, you go in Silicon Valley, all these geeky guys or girls, with their headphones on and their hoodies, sitting over the computer just coding. Pull them out and have them talk to a customer. They don't know what you want from them. So everybody has to learn to pitch ideas. So looking a little deeper into the sales pitch, so we have our need. Now let's think about a well-known company, that we can break it down and think about that. What's a company that comes to mind for everyone, a brand that everyone knows? Huh? Coke? Okay, Coca-Cola. What's our need? If Coca-Cola was trying to pitch us all to use their product, what's our need? to drink. We're thirsty. But it's not just that. It's the enjoyment of life. We want to enjoy. That's what they've gone on Coke. It's about enjoy. So you all are people. It's been a very hot summer, hasn't it? Whew. No air conditioning in Germany. You want to go out, and you don't always want beer, even though, you drink beer a lot. Sometimes you just want something refreshing, a little bit more flavor to it than soda. So we have this wonderful solution, this great thing called Coca-Cola. I know you've probably never heard of it, but it's sweet and delicious, and you put a little lemon and it fizzes, and you just enjoy life and are refreshed. So what's so great about Cocoa? We have this secret sauce that nobody else has, the secret syrup that nobody has. Our competitors have been trying to catch it for years, and look at how well we've done. Our sales are skyrocketing, and finally we're entering the German market, and everybody wants to be like us. And our vision for the future, we intend to become the #1 selling soft drink in the world. And this is how we're going to do it. Right now we're heading into Eastern Europe. We're starting first with Germany and France. And you get what I'm saying. So that would be the sales presentation. Again, completely made up, but just so you kind of get what we're at. So the need, your solution, why your solution is good. Do you have the business data to back it up? Not always will you need it, but you will have to probably talk about your competitive differentiation. Why are you different from all the other coaches out there? We had several coaches. What's different about working with you? And the vision for the future. Where do you see this going with them? If you partner with me, if you buy from me, if you use my services, here's what I see happening going forward. Let them see that there's a vision together for us. And then I like to end with a slide called Value Prop, where we put like the 5 or 6 most powerful things that you've said all through it. Can I move on? Technical changes, I'll skip over that because we don't really have tech. Okay, investor pitch. For those of you pitching investors, pretty much the same thing. Again, the need. It all comes back to, do you understand my need? Now, it's different for a customer, for an investor, because what is the investor interested in? Return on investment, right? They're not just giving you money because they're nice people, even though they are often called angel investors. They're not angels. They want money back. So it's more showing that you understand your market need. The German people are thirsty this summer, investors. They need something fun and refreshing to drink because there's no air conditioning, and they need something to help them beat the heat. So we think Coca-Cola is the perfect thing. So we're talking about the market. The proposed solution, again, pretty much the same. You want to show a demo if you can. If you have a product that you're selling, you want to try to show it as a demo as quickly as you can. Business plan, again, pretty much the same. And your vision for the future. So basically an investor presentation is the same as a sales presentation, just you're talking, when will they get their money back, when will they see it? So we could go on and on, but I think those are the most important things for us. Questions so far, anyone? Please feel free. It doesn't cost extra if you have questions. Same price. John Paul will be cool. Okay, who here likes adventure films? Summertime, of course, we love to see. What is the vital ingredient in an adventure film that makes it an adventure film and not just a sappy drama? What has to be there? Drama. What action? What makes the action and the drama?
Tension.
Who creates the tension?
The bad ones.
The bad ones! Thank you, Claude. The villain. Da, 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 da. So imagine if you were to hear, instead of hearing, Luke, I am your father, you were to hear, come to Papa, my boy. Or instead of hearing, hello, Clarice, you were to hear, how you doing? Or instead of Jaws, we'd see Dory or Nemo. How big would that tension be? Not so much bigger the tension and the suspense at the very beginning of a movie, the bigger the villain, the bad guy, the bigger the drama will be. And we need to find the villain for our audience, and that's understanding their need. Now, the villain is not a person sitting in the room, it's not their manager, it's not the head of their company, it's not their, well, it might be their competitors, actually. That might be the villain. And we want to show them that we will be able to help them be superheroes and fight that villain. So now looking again at a pitch, if we look at an investor pitch or a sales pitch, we have the villain, your hero, your product, your solution, your services, your hero's combat strategy, your hero's next moves, and why your audience will love your hero. Now, disclaimer, do not go to a client and call yourself a hero and them a villain or someone else. Not what I mean, just, fun way to look at it. So we want to either make them feel the pain, oh no, I don't want something bad to happen to me, or, hallelujah, this is so exciting, I can't believe I finally found a solution. I've always thought of this, but I never realized till this moment that this could happen, yay. People will buy for two reasons. The carrot or the stick. Either to protect themselves from something bad happening, or to usher something good into their lives. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the GDPR that just rolled out in May. Yes, what is it called in they called it something else in June? Oh my gosh. So I have clients that have been working for the past 2-3 years on solutions for financial institutions to get them ready for what just happened in May. So whoever was smart took their solutions. Whoever wasn't was scrambling at the last minute. So that would have been a great stick. In May 2018, if you want to do business in Europe, you need to have your financial institution ready to show that you respect privacy. Same thing's about to happen in California in 2020. I think people will get it yet. Or if it's something exciting, what's something new that we once was new in our lives, and now we just take as a given, but when it started, it was a nice thing to have. It's kind of cool. Like social media, right? Who here is not on any social media? Of course. What's the most popular? Everyone's still on Facebook or... Yeah, Facebook. The young ones are now on Instagram and Snapchat. But it's not that we needed Facebook in our lives, right? Nothing was missing in our lives. But suddenly it's like, can you imagine being able to keep in touch with friends from high school and from camp and that you met on business trips and see what everybody's doing in their lives and write to each other and wish each other happy birthday? Isn't that neat? So, again, it's not something a must, but it's like, wow, that's really cool. Honestly, I'm here on this trip because I kept in touch with a friend that I made in Germany 15 years ago. She took my workshop in Munich. So, you just never know how life turns around.